Welcome to Homestead Miami Speedway as round 6 of the PRL Cup Series gets underway. We're now at the end of our middle third of the season and we're on an almost historic run. This could be the 4th race without a yellow flag. For the very first time in PRL Cup Series, we've never had 4 in a row before. Tonight could be history here at Homestead Miami Speedway. We've been at Talladega in the last 4 weeks, at Super Speedway Racing, the Charlotte Roval, where of course there wouldn't be any. Vegas, we somehow survived. Homestead Miami Speedway, will we survive once again? Myself, Ian Leary and Lorenzo Bond are ready to take you through the action once again. Good to be back alongside you, Lorenzo. We're on the cusp of history, possibly, if we go through tonight with no cautions. It would be a PRL Cup Series record.
Yeah, we would be going for over 4 hours of no yellow flags. That would be amazing for us to watch that. And I think Homestead is a good track to not have yellow flags, despite the kind of chaotic nature that we've seen over the years, especially kind of like the last laps at eNASCAR. But for this race, should be an exciting in 1 hour for to cover.
It should be. Gabriel Perry is now the championship leader because the drop weeks have been applied, and so his poor opener at the first round of the season at Bristol Motor Speedway has been sort of written off, if you like. So he's 6 points now ahead of James O'Brien. Jean-Michel Gagnon is now third, 1 point ahead of Abner Acosta. Then Unai Llamas is still in 5th place, somewhat surprisingly, actually. He's only just, though, ahead of Robert Bissell Jr., Pat Harvey, Matthew Denis, and then a three-way tie for 9th. You can see Lou Christian and Scotty Johnson on your screen there. Stephen Kirby also has the same amount of points as them. In the team standings, it is same old story for private label Team Height. They are nearly 100 points ahead now, 81 ahead of Saltpeck Precision Racing, but they're in a close battle with DDI Motorsports. Waterback Racing and Necky Racing Team are also having their own fight for 4th. Before we go any further with this broadcast, thank the sponsors that make these broadcasts possible every night here on RaceSpotTV, starting with Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on Airstar products using the Precision 5 coupon code. RaceBox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision 5 coupon code. The Bookkicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. And finally, Advanced Motorsports. Get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. A big thanks to all of those sponsors who make these broadcasts possible here 5 nights a week, of course, on RaceSpotTV. And a reminder to those of you who are outside of Europe or outside of America, the broadcasts this week are all an hour earlier. So don't let that trip you up, because it always does for me every year. It's our favourite time of the year, Lorenzo. Our favourite week of the year, as us Europeans have gone back. We've enjoyed our extra hour's sleep. We're still waiting for the Americans to do so. So just bear that in mind. This is the starting grid for our race here tonight, though, at Homestead Miami Speedway. Starting with James O'Brien and Abner Acosta on the front. It's Unai Llamas and Mark Kaelin on row 2, and Stephen Kirby and Gabriel Perry on row 3. Rob Bissell Jr. and Scotty Johnson, who made his 100th Cup Series appearance last week, is in 8th place. Kazak Kago and Pat Harvey rounded up the top 10, with Lou Christian and Jean-Michel Gagnon rounding out row 6. Slightly low down compared to where you'd expect to see them. Jose Medina and Jeff Chandler are on row 7, and Mike Richter and Colton East today, all of whom should get to the start today, although the last 3 didn't qualify. I'm pretty sure they will all be making the start. The grid is fairly how you'd expect it, but Gabriel Perry down in 6th place. Got a bit of work to do as James O'Brien takes yet another pole position in the PRL Cup Series. In the PRL overall, that's James O'Brien's 33rd pole position, puts him 7th all time. And no surprises in that case. He's alongside his teammate Abner Acosta.
Yeah, that would come to no surprise over here. And this is one of those tracks that I think just like last week, I've said that maybe clean air is king, right? You want to have that clean air. You want to ride as much as you can without pressure from the driver behind you. And I think for Homestead, of course, tires are going to be the name of the game because you want that early grip as much as you can compared to your opponent. So maybe an overlap pit stop, an overcut pit stop, rather than an undercut pit stop might do you wonders. But of course, painting yellow flags and everything. Hope we get like another 1 hour of green flag. It's going to be an interesting one to watch.
Yep, certainly. So let's go racing once again here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Just 4 rounds to go now in the PRL Cup Series. It really feels like we're getting down towards the crucial final races. Starting here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Short track racing at Martinsville and Phoenix to come as well before our finale in Atlanta. There's still a lot of racing to be had. Another hour coming up here tonight in the PRL Cup Series. James O'Brien will get us underway from the inside line. The green flag waves at Homestead. We're racing in the Cup Series again. James O'Brien holds on to the lead through lap 1, but it's Gabriel Perry who makes up the places, already in 4th place, just behind Abner Acosta and Mark Kalin, who battle for 2nd.
Yeah, and Kalin trying to use that low side. That low side will give you more grip early on, but we've saw like with Tyler Reddick against Ryan Blaney earlier in the day, that high line is going to give you more grip if you have the tires to work as you go through your green flag pace. So let's see how that high line will develop as the run goes on. But for now, not surprised to see like Perry moving up, and how also Kalen's moving up as well, attacking early. We saw that at Las Vegas as well.
Mark Kalin going right up high. Sorry, Kalin go. Excuse me, Stephen Kirby going right up high, and here we go. Oh, big slide off the turn 2 there in the background. Scotty Johnson it was gathering it up, but meanwhile for the lead, Mark Kalin goes for it. You mentioned about holding on to tyres. I get the feeling Kalin has gone out a bit harder than the private label team hype drivers have, although James O'Brien's coming back at him into 1 and 2.
Yeah, and like I said, go through the inside and push a little bit more than he wants to. Leave off the gas a little bit, just trying to minimize the throttle input around the corner. Just try to keep it at somewhat like 20-30%. Just so the car keeps on rolling, and the 62 can already give him some bump trap. Not gonna be a bump and pass, but for now it's just to keep the car moving, keep the train moving, and I expected it to be just kind of packy early on, especially in the middle back. We can see kind of like the second peloton to going side by side, and we're gonna see this issue with Scotty Johnson just having a small skid going outside of number 2.
A bit of a scare, but we stay green. As I mentioned earlier on, we're on the cusp of history tonight. We've never gone 4, I don't want to say it too often, but I will mention it again. We've never gone 4 races in a row without a caution, consecutive races. The only previous time it's happened, we were at 2 road courses in the run of 3. That came over 3 years ago now in 2021, season 3. So this is, I'm going to say this is a more impressive run than that one was back then. But anyway, that's to be argued about. This, though, would definitely be history, even though it wouldn't be the most amount of time between cautions. That's at 5 hours, 4 minutes in history. Back when races were a little bit longer than an hour, we were able to go a little bit longer without a yellow. So we will be not breaking that one tonight, but will we get 4 in a row? Let's wait and see on that front as we make our way over the line again here. James O'Brien and Mark Kalin side by side again. Kalin not wanting to give this one up early on. He wants the lead here, and he seems to be investing quite a lot to get it.
And not only that, but he's making O'Brien push his tires a little bit more. It's kind of interesting to see the drawback of sorts. Like Kalen back in Las Vegas was kind of quiet, just like O'Brien was. He didn't get a good qualifying, so they had to kind of like stay quiet and move up the grid. Same, I think, with Abner Acosta. Actually, it was Abner Acosta and Kalen that were quiet. O'Brien stayed right in the front. But it's that thing. Just make sure you don't over push your tires here at Homestead, especially when you try to go to that outside line, because since you're going to that outside line, you're climbing to a higher bank, you're putting more stress on the tires. Therefore, the right side are going to heat up a little bit more. So it's going to give you grip, but you cannot push way too much. Don't over push that car. That's the name of the game.
And I just wonder whether that is what Mark Kelly is doing at the moment, but we'll wait and see. Side by side for 6th place between Rob Bissell Jr. and Patrick Cowgill, with Jean-Michel Gagnon right in behind. Not a great qualifying, I'm afraid, from Gagnon, but he is having a good season. Now that week he missed at round number 4, that was the Roval, I think, that he missed, unfortunately. He has started to regain those places through the drop week. He's 3rd in the standings, just 19 points behind Gabriel Perry as things stand. And at the moment, he's running decently well, although stuck behind Rob Bissell Jr. and Patrick Cowgill, who remain side by side into 3 and 4.
Yeah, and showcasing the regularity about the series, he had to keep on scoring, right? He had to be regular and keep scoring for you to get really good positions, and I think Gagnon is a really good example of that. Meanwhile, we can still try to see Cowgill. You know, Cowgill is on that thing, right? We saw that at Las Vegas. Early pusher, goes on, don't. He's not afraid to take risks with the car, be consistent in it. But once he gets into the second half, looks like his tires are starting to give out. So he starts to lose pace to the other cars around the field. Let's see how this time the number 31 will fare with that traffic up in front.
Should be a good run off the banking here for Gagnon in towards 1. Cowgill looks up the inside but doesn't really go for it, and Gagnon's going for a very high line. We've spoken a lot so far about tyres here, Lorenzo. I mean, I always do get concerned when I see someone running that up high this early on in the first 6 minutes of the race, that they might just chew through their tyres a little bit more quickly, but Gagnon still seems very comfortable up there, and now Robert Bissell Jr. joins him somewhat in the middle line through 3 and 4.
Normal. The one thing you really don't want to be in way too much. It doesn't look like the NASCARs kind of provide that, but they do provide some aero push effect into the corner, especially if you're riding behind someone. So you want to try to brake as much as you can towards someone draft. You can even see now Bissell kind of like running the high line, going to the wall. And I think that's Gagnon right behind him, try to stay as glued as possible so he minimizes the effect of the aero push right in front of him.
It's a difficult place for Gagnon to be, I think. He's sort of trapped on the outside here at the moment, with Bissell Jr. and Cowgill going side by side ahead. Cowgill should fall into line here, or he's not going to get the chance to, actually. He has to stay on the low side and continue to run around the bottom, and Gagnon will send it in a little bit harder this time round. Next to the wall, but by no means taking risk of scraping the wall, because you certainly can get that like that round here at Homestead. That's the view just masked by the palm trees on the back straight, and towards 3 and 4 again. Gagnon up high again, but a very much a status quo battle at the moment. Bissell locked in the middle, Cowgill locked on the bottom, and Gagnon right up top. Now finally though, Cowgill gets a bit of a slide and falls into line in 8th.
Yeah, it took a little bit of a while for him to make that move, but finally Gagnon is going through. But Bissell running that high line is just making the life out of the 646 a little bit more difficult. Even though they get really good runs, especially their 646 out of the corner, just cannot make that overtake stick. But now with the fact that Cowgill is not on the inside anymore, he can bounce on the number 3 now.
Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Mark Catlin still leads by half a second. This battle continues on. Of course, this circuit race is very, very different to how it used to when it was first built. Not least the fact it wasn't even 2 turns. I'm going to say 2 turns. I know it's an oval, so not really 2, but you get what I mean. Not 2 turns quite like this. It was 4 turns before, but anyway, past that, back when NASCAR first started coming here, the banking was very, very shallow indeed. It was 1.5 miles, but it was a very shallow 1.5 miles at at about a third of what the banking is now. So it just shows you how different the racing can be around here. And it's creating stuff like this. Before, of course, you'd be very much tied to the bottom end of the racetrack. Now you're able to explore up a little bit further as we check in with this battle for second place. James O'Brien and Abner Acosta, I believe, were side by side not so long ago. Now Perry and Acosta are very close together indeed on the way in towards 3 and 4, but they're not quite side by side. They are behind though, they're 3 wide indeed. Gagnon's going to be squeezed here and he just has to get out of it. Robert Bissell Jr. is going for 5th at the expense of Stephen Kirby now. Well, Kirby, I'm afraid, is getting the runaround here on the inside. He's going nowhere. Wonder whether he's sort of facilitating that and just saving his tyres, to be honest, or whether he really is losing these positions at the moment because, well, he's dropped to 8th place pretty quickly there. Calga's got through as well, despite a bit of a wiggle. And with 10 minutes gone, Kirby has gone from initially moving forward to now moving backwards a bit.
Well, I think, like I said, that's the nature of the track. If you're side by side within the first few laps in there, you're gonna be able to make some moves because the tire grip does allow you to, you know, stick to that inside portion a little bit more. But once the tires, you know, get some, what can I say, some wear in it, that high line becomes a little bit of a better approach, middle high line, because you're basically leveling the tires with the banking that has in Homestead. So that's one of the things you have to, we're looking at that. Like the guys on the high line, they're not getting the best entrance, but they're getting the best exits, right? So that's something that it's quite considerable over here in the Miami track.
Hearing, by the way, you may have noticed Colton Easterday out of the race. His VR froze, unfortunately, and so he is out after only 7 laps in this race, which is a real shame to see. Hopefully he'll be back again for next week's round at Martinsville Speedway. I mean, if we get through that race in a consecutive green run as well, I don't know what I'm going to do. But at the moment, we're still going here, nearly 5 hours, nearly 4 hours in now to a green flag run. Calgo gets through on Kirby on the back straight. He's still going on that low line, is Kirby, and generally people have started to migrate a little bit lower. Jean-Michel Gagnon is still going right up high, right next to the wall, but Bissell Jr. I noticed there, just going a little bit lower maybe than before, although now he's limited what he can do by Patrick Cowgill on his inside.
Yeah, and you can see there was a little bit of a wiggle coming from B. Saw's car, I think out of number 4 right there. Again now, wiggle for Cowgill.
Wow, that was a big slide. And it's a good job he's got so much space to gather it up down there at the bottom there, because that could have ended very badly indeed. Saw someone on the very low side as well, further back. I wonder if it was Mike Richter getting back up to speed again. He's suddenly a lap down for some reason, and in a slightly puzzling moment. So already 2 cars dropping out of contention pretty much here.
Yeah, but luckily Richter, if we get a yellow flag, hopefully he's gonna get the lucky dog there before he gets lap back, but now goes back into the pits again. So that not gonna be in the lead lap most likely, but still the lucky dog given the circumstances in the track.
Oh dear, that's not the
bonk.
Oh dear. Well, something's going on there, I'm afraid, for Mike Richter, who's driven straight into the pit wall and is now reversing down pit lane. You've got to be careful doing this kind of thing. I'm sure he's in his box there, to be honest with you. I know he's quite awkward to get into, but anyway, that looks like the end of his day. Oh, well, he's driving away again now. Is that his front right tyre all just... I think I know what's happened. He's trying to turn. I think his front wheels are not really doing any of the turning for him at the moment, actually. And hence why... Well... I'm trying to see that front right tyre. That doesn't look quite right to me, but now it's getting repaired. So I think Mike Richter effectively there couldn't turn, and that meant he had to sort of shunt himself forwards and backwards to try and get himself into the box, which can be quite awkward to do in these cars at the best of times.
Yeah, actually at any car around this track, doesn't it? because the banking, and like I said, the banking over here is a little bit of an overstretch, and it's kind of hard for you to go around here kind of cleanly, and especially on the ladder runs. You're gonna see, ow, that's hard hit out of side of 4 from what it looks like.
It's another miracle we stayed green through that as well. I mean, I know the car didn't quite go all the way around, but still, it's another miracle we've managed it. And there's the front right tire I was talking about. That is not assisting him with anything.
Yeah, but then again, I think that was the case of basically driving by himself, so it didn't cause any hazards on the track. If he had an oil leakage or something like that, like you would have in real life, then maybe it would be the case, but not quite.
I think in real life that would have been a caution anyway, but there we go. As we go back to the battle for the lead again, or battle for third place, Abner Acosta and Gabriel Perry in the main part of your screen, just up the road of Mark Kalin and James O'Brien. Tyre drop-off hasn't been that severe just yet. We're only about half a second away from best lap times, but again, I think that's a little bit down to the fact everyone's being so careful. We've not yet seen a two-stop even attempted, really, by any of the main players, and I don't expect we'll see that change tonight either.
No, it's a 50-50. Run as much as you can on the fuel stand. This is gonna drive like Las Vegas because you know, 1.5 mile track. Of course, one is a tri-oval. This is more of a normal oval, if you want to call it that, a bowl oval or something like that, if you want to put a mention into it. So it basically drives like lift off the gas, going into the entrance of the corners, just give minimal turn in with some aid of the throttle just to keep the car in touch, and you can go long right here. It can go up to 60 laps if I remember correctly, something like Vegas, so expect something around these numbers.
Let's see how far they attempt to leave it here. The reason why I bring it up, of course, because Mark Kalin made such an effort to get to the front initially. Now I just wonder at what point he's going to start to struggle, and 16 minutes in we might have hit that point already. James O'Brien goes to the inside. Kalin looked a little bit loose on the bottom there, I've got to say, looked a little bit out of shape. Now he's going up high, see if he'll have a bit more joy out there, but James O'Brien gets through, and Abner Acosta is going to sail through as well here.
Yep. Maybe the drop off with Kalin started to kick off. Push the car early, you're gonna suffer late.
Oh, he's in the wall as well. I saw him getting a little bit out of shape again, and he's in the wall. The 3 of the top 4 in the championship work their way past immediately, and O'Brien will assume the lead. Kalin will now have damage.
And he's gonna lose a position to Gagnon. Eventually Gagnon started to have a little bit of a late race surge, and going to start to make moves. Meanwhile, Perry also looking to pounce right behind O'Brien.
Yeah, so Acosta's going for the lead on O'Brien, and Perry is just waiting and watching behind. He slots right in, does James O'Brien. Now he goes to the very high side. Perry almost seems as if he decided against it just because of that. And so he just drives down the middle, or down the inside I should say, and goes through here. It's a difficult situation for Perry, isn't it, here, because he's effectively on his own with private label team hype teammates who can play each other off against him. And that's got to be very difficult now to manage for the driver of the 13.
Yeah, man, it's going to be problematic. But we saw something like in Vegas, like some of these guys grinding the wall and still having some performance in the car, doesn't it? So let's see how that will continue on in the next few laps, because from what it looks like, there's no drop off.
Not just for the moment. Through goes Perry. Kalin's still here, despite smacking the wall at turn 4. It almost seems like the damage is doing him some favours. Now he's very near the wall again. Now he's out of shape again. Oh, he saves it. Goodness me. These guys, of course, can't do anything to the setups. They can't really change how these cars behave. They've just got to sort of deal with it. And there's a long way until a new set of tyres for Mark Kalin. This will be a hair-raising last 11 minutes, I would have thought.
Yeah, and I think there's some dissatisfaction from Kalen right there. He knows, I think he's starting to lose ground, but he needs to do his best defensive effort against the Gion. You can even see there's some struggle at the corner, entry of the corner, you know.
It's remarkable the wheel work they have to put in. Gagnon couldn't get through. Stephen Kirby's there now as a result, giving him a hard time. Gagnon still sticking by the wall, almost as if he's got a magnet in the car attached to the wall. Just riding right around the top again and again and again, and this time it might lose him a position here to Stephen Kirby. Just tucks up on the inside, but can't quite get through. Not for the moment anyway. The two will remain side by side in towards 1 and 2 again here, but all the while they do this, they start to lose time to the leaders, and for Gagnon, who was right on the back of the 3 leaders only a few moments ago, this has got to be a bit disheartening now to be over 2 seconds behind the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's still catchable. If you still have some tires for you to make ground, you can kind of do it. But the way that Perry, O'Brien, and Acosta kind of have been playing it out, you know, just don't overstress the car. You can even see now Kalen again overstressing his car. He has a wiggle out of 4 right there. Just helps the case of the number 33, the number 13, and the number 5 on breaking away from the second pack.
And behind, Pat Harvey is leading the charge to catch up to them here, as Kalen looks to the sort of inside line of the way towards 3 and 4 there. That was slightly bizarre. He's not going in pit lane. Wouldn't have thought anyone will be for another 10 minutes just yet, but later on we will be seeing a flurry of pit stops at around halfway to try and get those new tyres on and get the jump maybe as well. We saw generally, oh, it's Kirby going for a big slide. Big save through 1 and 2 there for Stephen Kirby, and now Pat Harvey's going to be making his way through.
Yeah, I think those who started to save tires a little bit more are going to use the high line. They're going to use only the low line maybe to execute a move and then try to move it to the outside line as fast as possible to try to get away. Meanwhile, I think Jose Medina and Scotty Johnson battling at the back, and Calgo dropping places maybe for a pit stop.
Wow, he is, yeah. Goodness me. So an early pit stop from Calgo. One thing I was going to bring up, by the way, about early pit stops was how much do you want to avoid them? If there's anything to take away from last week at Vegas, surely it's that those that pitted early, like Una Yamas and Wardo Warden, for example, they really fell back towards the end and it didn't work. Surely those drivers have got to see that from last week and think, I don't want to repeat that mistake.
Oh yeah, well, it's like I said, you're going to get early grip. You're going to basically take a whole second away from them, nearly per lap. It worked for Reddick. He had better grip against Blaney, like I said before, earlier in the race, earlier in the day actually. But for over here is a little bit more complicated. Plus the weather is kind of hot. It's nearly 40 degrees Celsius. We saw it just before. It was about 101 Fahrenheit. So that plays into the effect of the right side tires and how far you really want to push them early on. That's why we saw the top 3 not pushing, and that's why they are in that position respectively.
It may be October, but it is still Miami, and it is still quite warm.
Yeah.
So track temperature, something to keep an eye out for. I'm sure we'll be doing the same at Phoenix as well. There'll be a later in the afternoon start there. We're starting at 4:05 in the afternoon virtual standard time. Should be seeing the sun going down in Arizona by that point. So well, not going down, but certainly temperature's starting to cool off, so maybe a bit less of a problem around Phoenix as it is sometimes in the spring race around there historically. Martinsville and Atlanta are, you could catch them on a warm day, I suppose, but it will be November by that point, so we should be able to get away with it, I would have thought. Let's wait and see though when we get to that point. Next week, of course, starting Martinsville Speedway here live on RaceSpotTV once again. A reminder of something I said earlier on, but I'll remind everyone about this. It's the week of the clocks going back in Europe, but not in America yet. So if you are not in America, the broadcast will all be an hour earlier for you this week if you're listening in Europe, so just be mindful of that. It's not just tonight. I understand that maybe some people might have been late tonight or whatever. We're an hour earlier each night this week, so check your calendar, etc., and your local time for the next 5 nights of racing, of course, here in the PRL on RaceSpotTV. 36 minutes to go here at Homestead, and Abner Acosta leads by nearly a second at Gabriel Parry. James O'Brien's third, and Mark Kalin is hanging onto his car. He is fourth at the moment, but I think he is wishing this stint away rather now. The wheel work he's putting in is something he can only sustain for a short while longer, and look at that, you're almost using the wall to steady the car there.
You gotta use all the resources available at your hand to try to get something, right?
Well, I can see some downsides, put it that way.
Yeah, true.
He's just ahead of Pat Harvey, who will home interview, I would imagine, very shortly from this camera. He'll pop through on the left-hand side, I would have thought, but let's see if he's interested in making a move at all. Well, not really, actually. Behind, Luke Christian is interested. He's through on Jean-Michel Gagnon, or trying to be. Gagnon's got the run onto the back straight here, so Luke Christian will have to wait a little bit longer, but this is a decent drive so far from Luke Christian, who qualified quite far down outside the top 10. He is now battling for 6th place.
At one point I thought that he was going to stay all the way down in the back of the pack right there, but I think he did what Harvey and Gagnon did, just wait for his time to strike, and eventually when he did, starting to have some rewards. He's going to 6th place right now, seal the deal on Gagnon, and unless he clipped that wall right there and got some damage, seal the deal.
Absolutely so. Oh, that's wide for Kalin. Again, he's sort of using the wall as a bit of a crutch. Oh, and again, he's riding along the wall effectively there. That's got to be doing him some damage as well, I would have thought. But there you go. Gagnon not quite doing the same, but he is running up high. I think Kalin will have learnt a lesson again, and you know, surprised he didn't learn it from Vegas, to be honest, last week. But you've got to take real care of these tyres early on. You can't adapt these cars set up to your own liking in this series anymore. You've got to deal with what you've got, and you've got to take more care on these tyres than maybe they would have had to in previous seasons.
I'd agree. But it is a nature of the NASCAR cars. They are kind of like babies that you have to take care of every single lap that you go on. You really want to, you know, be a prep person, because that thing will bite you back in the rear if you allow it, right? So I'm not surprised to see that thing kind of happen, but so far so good for everybody. The lap, what is impressing me a little bit even is the lap delta for everybody's kind of like nearly the equal from like 1st to 8th place of sorts.
It is a rather compact field at the moment. I just want to have a look at Patrick Cowgill's times here and whether he's actually gaining as a result of new tyres. The answer, perhaps quite predictably, is yes. Half a second quicker than Abner Acosta last time round, and Gabriel Parry, who was actually quicker than Acosta last time around. Cowgill was running around where Kalin is at the moment in that group, and so he'd only need 10 laps or so to take the lead. He's at 9 currently, so I reckon he will be in the lead once these guys pit. However, A, he's making a second pit stop, and B, his tyres will already be fairly finished by the time these guys put new ones on, so he's going to be eaten alive surely as they come out the pit lane.
Yeah, arguably so, but then again, I think you can start to see Cowgill's laps going around 34s, right? And Acosta and Barry are running 34 lows to mid, so eventually, despite everything, that tire is going to equal out, and that gap that he's basically earned is going to get pushed down. Oh,
Kalin in the wall and sliding again. It's amazing that he's gotten away with this here and at Vegas, as Rob Bissell Jr. looks like he's coming in. So the pit stops have really begun now. 32 minutes to go. This is the one-stop window, and well, I'd expect to see a flurry of them in now.
Potentially. I was taking a quick look right here. We gotta, if we go green flag all the way, and I know we keep talking about that, we can go up to 105 laps.
Yeah.
I think we can see 55 laps coming out of the drivers, but pitting early on, as we've now seen Pat Harvey coming in as well, it's a big risk in my opinion.
Well, Jomiso Gagnon's also in, Luke Christian's in, Stephen Kirby in. So lots of drivers, especially in the midfield and down towards the back, coming in. Now, does Gabriel Perry try and do something smart here? It looks like towards the end of this stint, it's really become a two-horse race as Abner Acosta and Gabriel Perry take best care of their tyres. James O'Brien not quite able to do the same. He said he struggled for speed at Vegas, didn't quite enjoy himself so much, and I would liken this circuit to Vegas in some ways. It's obviously different in many ways, but it's somewhat similar. And I would argue if you struggle at Vegas, you could well have similar symptoms here too. And James O'Brien very much suffering with that at the moment as championship leader, points leader Gabriel Perry continues to pull away from him. Abner Acosta desperately needs to start gaining some points on him. There's only 4 rounds to go. He's 20 points behind. He needs to gain about an average of 5 points a race, which is pretty difficult to achieve if you're not winning.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird that they're not finding ways. They say he was mortal, right? I think Perry right now is just managing for the time being right now, but Acosta is doing a really good run. I think he's trying to do his best to keep Perry at bay and make sure Perry wastes his tires, while Acosta is being the consistent one lap by lap.
Certainly is. Acosta is in the bottom right of your screen there. And in the main part is Patrick Cargill, who is the leader of those who have pitted so far. Pat Harvey is just behind him, not literally behind him, that's Mark Kaelin, but I mean second in those who have pitted. Pat Harvey is behind. So, does he have enough here, Cargill, to get the lead? Maybe not, actually. Maybe he doesn't quite, because as you say, already the difference between him and Acosta and Perry's times is actually not that large, considering he's on newer tyres. As now Abner Acosta, oh no, he's just staying low, he doesn't come in. And neither does Perry, they're still going here.
Run is fast. Like I said, I think running as much as you can right here will basically be the lifesaver for you. Unless you're at the back and you want to try something different, and maybe cut some time over your opponent, and maybe because you're battling so much, you equal out the tires. That could be to the opponent's detriment, but to your benefit. You got to stay as long as you can. As now Acosta, I think it might come to the pit lane. No, he just comes down one more time as we approach halfway mark of the race. As we go green flag, that's true. Actually, we are way more than half of the race. I would say 2 to 3 laps more. We are.
It's not really possible to halve 105, but you get the picture. We are about halfway as things stand. Abner Acosta is fooling me every lap as well with that low line that he's been employing. And just as he's doing it as well, he is allowing Gabriel Perry to get back into the fray a little bit more now. Less than 3/4 of a second for the first time. Perry, you can tell, is just squeezing everything out of those tyres now, right towards the very end of this stint. Does it mean they're finally deciding to come in? No is the answer to that. Perry, though, is definitely sizing up for a pit stop very shortly, because you can tell he is using the last little bit of tyre life now from this car.
Yeah, and Kaelin already coming in for his pit stop from what it looks like, as I think he comes down into the pit lane. Yeah, I think they're going to stretch it out as much as he can, and try to apply as much pressure as you can on Perry for him to, you know, see where that thing will lead him. But so far, he's matching Acosta's times like clockwork, which is something that should be noteworthy as this race goes on.
Well, Patrick Cargill is still gaining on them, but he's being gained on by Pat Harvey, Luke Christian, Jomiso Gagnon as well. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't see too much logic in these two staying out this long now. They're definitely over halfway. They're, you know, using the last little bit of their tyre life, I understand, but, you know, they are slower than the rest of the field. Remember, they see this as such a two-horse race that it actually doesn't matter what the rest of the field do. It's just about those two.
Yeah, very much. That's what I think the race will be moving forward. Maybe O'Brien might be an effect right there, but that's just, you know, being overly confident.
Yeah, I think he really needs to get in, O'Brien. He's lost nearly 5 seconds now. when he was leading the race earlier on. He was on pole as well. Can't imagine how frustrated he might be with this. Although, of course, for those that don't really like intermediate circuit, mile-and-a-half racing, this is the final round of this type of circuit. 2 short tracks to come in the next 2 weeks before a super speedway finish at Atlanta, whatever the world's coming to. And so no more of these as James O'Brien makes his way in. It's like he's listening in the number 33. So will Patrick Cowgill get ahead of him? I don't actually think he's going to be quite close enough, actually.
No, I think the gap is going to be stabilized around 4, maybe 3 seconds, depending how well you do in the pit lane now.
Time will go out as Abner Acosta also comes in. Perry now going one further. Oh, O'Brien is going to get caught way in the mid-pack here. He's going to be right in where he didn't really want to be. Gagnon gets through. Vito Jr. also through. Oh, this is a bit of a catastrophe, I think, for O'Brien, but surely it's not going to be that much better for Abner Acosta and Gabriel Perry here. Have the leaders here made a bit of an error.
Oof.
Well, there's Acosta getting his 4 tyres in the number 5. Perry's surely got to react to this now, and he does. So Cowgill is going to be very close to the lead here. Have these two timed it well, or have they made a quite large error? It looks like it's a bit of an error, I'm afraid, for Abner Acosta as Patrick Cowgill gets through. Pat Harvey's on the outside here as well, and Lou Christian will go through as well. The top 3 is completely turned around, and Patrick Cowgill's going to be leading this race.
Yeah, but it looks like a blunder at first.
Oh!
Cowgill's skidding.
So loose. Really loose there for Cowgill. And Harvey and Christian are going to go straight through here. This is the problem again with Cowgill's strategy. As we see Perry coming out, he'll be right by Abner Acosta here.
It's like I said before, one day you're the hunter, and now you're the hunted. So it's just how things go in a tire track like this.
But this is completely self-inflicted by the 2 of them. That's my issue with this. It's all well and good having, swings and roundabouts and whatever in this game, but, this is completely self-inflicted by the 2 of them. There was no need for them really to be staying out so long in that first green flag run.
It's understandable, but then again, they're going to basically catch them by, I would say, 2 to 3 tenths per lap. So expect Christian and Harvey already to be within threat from both Acosta and Prairie. You can see already them being on the back bumper of the 21 and the 80 and the 67. So we're going to get a battle for the lead most likely in like 2 to 3 laps, in my point of view.
I think they will blow by as well, but it's just needless really to give him this amount of work to do, and especially for James O'Brien as well, who could actually be in trouble in terms of making his way back through again. You've got to think a little bit about track position here. I know it is easier to overtake on an oval maybe than it is on a road course or whatever, but you've got to think about track position, and at the moment those top 3 really haven't been in this race, I've got to say, and now they are needing to restore their lead. Abner Acosta here is sort of racing to keep Perry behind while also make overtakes ahead. He's in a very difficult situation.
And the problem for let's just say O'Brien, right, is because how the championship has been running, and we've talked this before, we've gone over 3 hours of no yellow flags, right? For him to try to be something different is basically committing suicide against your opponent. So you have to basically kind of like match what the other guys are doing, as Perry's now trying to find ways on the inside.
Oh, he looks, but he doesn't go for it. Patrick Cowgill's in, by the way. Still 22 minutes to go, so that's quite a long time. And, of course, a lot of time to make up for the driver, the 31. He'll probably be off the lead lap as well. As here we go, defence from Lou Christian. He wants to hold the inside line if he wants to hang on to second place, and he's forcing Abner Acosta to go to a line he's very rarely gone for. Certainly not by his own choice here. And he's going to go through, is he? Perry's going to get a humongous run off of turn 4 as well. And he'll be on the outside in towards 1 and 2. Here he goes on the outside again. right up next to the wall. Perry not afraid to go high. Abner Acosta a bit more wary of it. And Perry, oh, he just had to tuck in, but look at him. Switch to the inside, down the backstretch. And Gabriel Perry is going to get back through on Abner Acosta here into 3 and 4. Run off the corner for Acosta. He's going to get the slipstream as well. Oh, Perry nearly makes contact with him. Again, Acosta doesn't seem that comfortable going anywhere but on the low line. But with Harvey right ahead of Perry, he's going to be able to get some real joy here. Oh, he sneaks on the outside. Harvey forced to give him room. And here goes Perry, 3 wide. Abner Acosta next to the wall where he does not want to be. Perry sends it in. Here goes Acosta on the outside line. He's going to have to be given room here. He's going to get a monstrous run onto the front stretch. And Abner Acosta, with 20 minutes to go, has gone his nose ahead. But for how much longer? Through on the middle he goes. Perry getting a good run here. And surely this will be the pass now for Perry, will it? No. Acosta's got the run again now. Pat Harvey smiling, enjoying the show as 2 championship rivals go toe-to-toe at Homestead Miami Speedway.
And now the washout of the outside lane for the number 18 of Perry. He's going to nearly go into the wall right there. And that was expected. Really good battle between them. And then Harvey gave it his best to try to make it, you know, only between him and Acosta. But that 3 wide was decisive in my opinion. I think put Acosta in a very uncomfortable spot, driving down the outside run, wasting tires a little bit more on the entry, despite having a better exit. And now the number 18 is going to have a lot of clear room to run. And the question is, can he break away from the number 5? Because so far, O'Brien, I'm trying to see where's O'Brien. Oh, I found him. He's way down in the back in 7th place.
Oh, goodness me! Perry trying to defend from Acosta, but really couldn't. Acosta forced on a really tight line. Perry next to the wall. And he's going to get the run sufficient to hold on to the position again. But that was close. If these last 20 minutes are going to be like this, it could be quite a spectacle as we try and find out and decide a winner between these 2.
At this point, with the way the two are battling right there, I wouldn't even count. I could count Harvey as a potential winner right there, unless the gap or the pace that the number 18 and the number 5 are so humongous that they start to break away together without too much of a hassle. The number 67 and the number 21. But for now, that looks to be the latter than the former. So it's a way back to the 2-way battle that we were talking about before.
A little bit, yeah. James O'Brien's up to 6th, by the way, in his recovery drive, but needs to have finally restored their positions, albeit in the other order now, as to what they were before the pit stops. Still plenty of laps to go here, by the way. Well over 30 remaining in this race now from Homestead. It is round 6 of the PRL Cup Series. Gabriel Perry looking for his 4th win in just 5 races. If he could possibly. Only blip was at Talladega, where he finished a long way back, I'm afraid, in the field. He was 15th and at the very end of the lead lap, effectively, on that race. Since then, though, he's been winning 2 weeks in a row. It's been victory for him. Now, though, he's looking to win again on a 1.5 miles, just as he did at Kansas for the 2nd round of the season. Just as he managed 1 week ago as well at Las Vegas. He's looking to do it again here. But Abner Acosta is right behind him, looking to take that off him. As I mentioned earlier, 20 points the gap between the 2 of them at the start of the day. Acosta badly needs this for the championship. And if Perry was to win this, it would be a huge, huge statement that Acosta cannot afford to let him have here. This is going to be a huge final 17 minutes.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is going to be really exciting to watch because it's going to make the life of Perry much more complicated. They know, both O'Brien and Acosta, that they need to do something, right? Talk on the radio, maybe see what else they can do to get close to the number 18 and started to make a pass on him because they said they need to find something, right? They need to show that he's mortal, he's beatable, and so far he's not. He's immortal. He's not. He's kind of like what we said. He's a tribal chief. If we're picking wrestling terms of sorts.
Well, 16 minutes remaining for these two, and it's just settled in these last couple of minutes. At the bottom of your screen, it's James O'Brien versus Jean-Michel Gagnon. These two are both in the top 4 in the championship as well. That's effectively what you're seeing in your 2 boxes at the moment. Top 4 in the championship. Leader in the gold at the top, second in the red at the bottom, third in the white and blue and purple in the bottom of the screen as well, and then fourth in the yellow at the top of your screen. That's the situation, and James O'Brien retakes 5th place here. I think he'll really be hoping that Pat Harvey and Lou Christian's tyre fall off here so he can get back to 3rd, because that is far from certain at this stage.
Yeah, and to make matters worse, O'Brien cannot get closer, and even though he has a leader track, he cannot get closer into the lead while there is battles brewing at the back between B-Saw and Scurvy on the outside.
Tim Kirby right out next to the wall, hold on to 7th. Then it's Robert B-Saw Jr., Uno Yamas is 10th, then it's Jose Medina and Mark Kalin. And what a shame it is for Mark Kalin to be back here, leading the race earlier on, of course, but showing exactly why in this battle you don't go out too hard in a group in a race, otherwise you will be paying for it later. Kalin and Medina have just swapped positions a lot further back from this group in 11th and 12th, and they're still going at it. The other driver you can see involved in this is Patrick Cowgill. There you can see him on the outside line in the silvery grey. He's just unlapping himself from these guys, but he's so far behind them. Surely he's... I can't see him catching anybody, actually.
Nah, they're not going to catch the front pack that has Gagnon and O'Brien right there. Neither Christian or Harvey at that.
We've had, by the way, 4 hours and a half of green flag running in a row now. We're getting very close to the 5-hour, 4-minute record. Could be broken next week, but I can't see us going 20 minutes green on Martinsville, so could be a bit tricky that, but let's wait and see on that front. I mean, Bristol was quite a clean race by all accounts, but even that had a couple of cautions very early on.
But I think Martinsville, I think might be really dependent, in my point of view, to the number of cars on the grid. I think having 17 cars, for example, 16, 17 like we're having today, could work on our favor to have green flag runs, in my point of view. But then again, that's just a wild guess than reality itself, you know.
Yeah, and of course Bristol had quite low numbers as well. I think we were at 20, but even so, yeah, it gets easier for sure. But you never know. As we make our way over to Tennessee in 1 week's time. Very close to the wall there for Stephen Kirby. There's Rob B-Saw Jr. just hangs on behind. He's battling with Uno Yamas. Just in the background. Excuse me, with Jeff Chandler and Uno Yamas just in the background there. Side by side. We're just over 12 minutes remaining in this race. So 20% of this race still remaining, plenty of time to make something happen, and well over 20 laps as well still to come here from Homestead. And at the moment, Gabriel Perry is still leading the race ahead of Abner Acosta. Pat Harvey and Luke Christian are 3rd and 4th, and James O'Brien's catching them for those positions. So a battle for 3rd in the offing very shortly, as well as we continue to enjoy this battle for 7th place that is, well, fairly stable, to be honest. Kirby and B-Saw Jr. are running side by side in formation for a while now.
Yeah, I think that's 3-4 laps they've been running side by side, and no clear decider on this one. Now Kirby's going to get the better run coming out of the corner. you know, the best and better entrance go for B-Saw. It's just that nature of the track. It's kind of weird. And I was thinking about it. We haven't talked about this. It's funny how this track changed so much in 2 years, from 1995 to 1997, because basically this was like a baby Indianapolis on its first 2 years of iteration before they made into the speedway format that it is right nowadays. So it's kind of interesting how this track came to be, and now we're gonna have the road course being used for the for the E-Prix of Miami next year. So it's nice to see this track venue being used more and more again, besides the grassroots and or championships like the Radical North America Cup that happens over there.
Yeah, very few other series than NASCAR have been here really since 2010 or so.
Yep.
It's been fairly absent from Kansas, as although I've got to say Formula E calendar does continue to get ever more weird, doesn't it? But anyway, that's,
at least they put a track in it. Let's just compliment the fact they actually put a racetrack in it rather than city tracks, don't have me.
I'm increasingly wondering what the Formula E Championship's even for at this point, but anyway, that's for another day, really.
Yeah.
As we live in this changing world. Side by side for 7th place continues on. James O'Brien, meanwhile, has caught Luke Christian and Pat Harvey. I said that was happening earlier. I didn't quite realise the rate at which it was. James O'Brien making some very important passes here, up to 4th place. I think that was through 3 and 4. And surely soon he's going to be with Pat Harvey and overtaking him as well. Important passes to make. Again, maybe a bit more of a difficult afternoon for him than he was maybe expecting. And again, maybe self-inflicted slightly. But James O'Brien is going to be surely in 3rd before too long.
I wonder how, you remember when O'Brien talked about being unprepared, or was like underprepared for the race, the last round. I wonder how prepared he was for this race, how used with the track he was in the setup for this car.
Well, he's now through anyway. He's James O'Brien, by the way. They're the two that are left. And so O'Brien goes on up the road. Wondering how many points he's going to lose here. He's currently 6th behind Gabriel Perry. There's a lot of bonus points available in the overall series, by the way. I mean, give you an example. Gabriel Perry scored 9 last week, which is an extraordinary amount of points to be getting a bonus for. Brian Cowgill and Mark Kalin all got 1 bonus point as well. So there's a lot of stuff to work out here. Not going to do it all live on air now. We will focus a little bit more on that when we get to Atlanta and seeing what's what. However, he is going to lose some points here, is O'Brien, although not too many, as long as Perry has stayed away from bonus points, which we're not sure he has. He has been leading for a little while now, so he will surely have been gaining some points. I would have fought through that, but anyway, 7.5 minutes to go, and that battle for the lead surely is going to reignite again towards the end. Surely Acosta is not just going to leave Perry to win this without one more battle before the finish.
Oh, absolutely not. They really don't want to have Perry going for 3, right? And making it 4 this season. I was actually wondering, Ewan, have we had a dominant driver on the Cup Series that probably won the majority, like 80% of the races so far? I was thinking about Trent Dinkel, but I cannot say that for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, Trent Dinkel won the first four out of the first 7 races of the opening season this year, to give you an example. He also won the first 3 of season 2 in a row, on his way to winning 5 in that season as well. So he's won 9 of the races overall this season, and he's only been at 18 of the 23 races that have been held so far. So it certainly has been done before, and no doubt will be done again as well. 2 in a row for Gabriel Perry and 3 overall is not unusual per se, but it is more unusual, I suppose, for such a new driver to hit the ground running like this. In a way, it's a shame that Trent Dinkle isn't here anymore. We're told that he doesn't really like fixed racing, so that's a bit of a problem. But it would be interesting to see him and Perry go head-to-head, because we haven't seen much of Perry prior to this season, but he's really giving it to Acosta and O'Brien, who have been so dominant for a long time in this series.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's insane, the run that Perry has been having. That's why I was starting to wonder if there's anybody who've done what he's done. I think in my history commentating on this league, I only find Trent Dinkle to be as close as that to him, but that's something that has to be lauded for Perry. The consistency that he has race after race after race to, you know, pull out top results against like guys from the private label team hype and other guys like Mark Kalin and such.
Yeah, I mean, Acosta won the first 2 rounds as well of the season in 2024, so you know it is not unheard of, but it is impressive. By the way, last week James O'Brien moved ahead of Trent Dinkle in the overall driver standings for 2024, though the gap still between the 2 teammates 75 points. Abner Acosta is pretty close to wrapping that one up now, with only 3 rounds to go at the end of this one, and only about 150 odd points available. So it's getting closer and closer to Abner Acosta's for sure now, before maybe we even get to Atlanta at the very end of the season. 4.5 minutes to go, and Lorenzo, 4.5 minutes from history. We've never had 4 consecutive full green flag races in the PRL Cup Series, and we are 4.5 minutes away from doing so.
Yes, let's keep at it, boys. Let's keep at it. Keep that green flag running. As much as we'd like to see some chaos, I really want to see Barney waving flags, especially in race ending ones.
That was Gabriel Perry with his newly submitted picture, I think. On the
you can argue about that.
On the lower third. So he's still leading the race. 10 seconds now to James O'Brien. Then there's this battle between Lou Christian and Pat Harvey, both running inside the top 5, and Pat Harvey gathers it up. Goodness me, it's going to be a nervy final few minutes indeed, as these cars get loose on old tyres again.
Yeah, and that's insanity. And meanwhile, we have a battle that normally would be up in the front end. It is not. Kalin and Calgio battling for the lucky dog, which, let's be honest, at this point of the race, there won't be any lucky dogs.
No, if there was a caution to come out right now, you'd imagine it would end the race with only 3 minutes left. There's the look back from Perry. It's either 5 or 6 to go at the line here. I think it'll be 6 to go. And Perry's just putting those couple of attempts into Acosta. Is the 5 just really charging up for a final leap towards the line, or is he starting to struggle here as he gets loose off for 4, twitchy off for 4? Perry is, at the moment, is putting crucial attempts into Abner Acosta.
I think what Perry's doing, covering that inside line, he's doing masterfully. Normally, when I used to drive IR18 leagues back in like IndyCar leagues around here, you used to say cover that inside line. Sometimes that thing will work wonders for you. It's hard to pass around the outside kind of cleanly because you're gonna get a massive run on the outside, and that's what Perry is doing so far. So let's see if we can hope for about 6 more laps.
Abner Acosta is going for his 82nd win in PRL Cup Series history. Gabriel Perry only his 4th. These two are opposite ends of their PRL career. One with supreme amounts of experience. One who's been there and done it again and again and again in the PRL Cup Series. And one new kid on the block who's taken the series by storm. Gabriel Perry has already won on 3 occasions this season. Can he add a 4th? As we go over the line, it's going to be very close, by the way, as to whether it's 3 or 4 laps to go here. But Perry will certainly be hoping it's the least of the 2. If it is only 3, though, Acosta's gets so much more closer than he is at the moment.
But I think Acosta needs to commit. He would need to commit by now to have the gap like 0.2 of a second. I don't think he has run or grip in the car left without overburning the rears. You can even see he's getting mid-corner to try to keep this car at bay.
Over half a second now. It looks like it's still going to be very, very close indeed. We'll see whether the white flag's being readied this time round or whether there's going to be another couple. Here's, meanwhile, is the battle for 7th place. Unai Llamas through on Robert Bisot Jr. It's been a decent recovery from the 63, actually. Qualified quite well, dropped through the field quite early. Is now back to 7th again. Over the line for Gabriel Perry. Is he being shown the white flag or not? No. 2 to go then, here at Homestead. And Acosta's got to get closer. He's got to try and use the traffic that is just up ahead here.
Let's just say 6 more corners to go for Perry to win this. I think this is over. But then again, but I've seen everything in motorsports. I think this is very hard for Acosta. This is the first time he's gone to that outside lane.
Yeah, first time.
But better exit.
First time voluntarily anyway. They just get over the line. The white flag now being waved. Final lap here for Gabriel Perry. Just 1.5 miles to go. And despite the traffic of Jose Medina and Scotty Johnson up ahead, he is the favourite for this now. He's seen off Acosta. The 2 were nose to tail out of the pit lane. They had to come through traffic together. Perry overtook Acosta through traffic. He has really arrived onto the PRL Cup Series scene. Gabriel Perry wins at Homestead Miami Speedway and takes his 4th win in the last 5 races. He has arrived in this series. He is the new kid on the block at the moment. He's beating the old hands. Another big day in the championship as he extends his lead to double figures over James O'Brien and Abner Acosta. The stalwarts of this series have been rocked in the last 6 weeks by this man, Gabriel Perry, who wins for the 4th time in Season 4 of 2024.
And we're seeing that a new dog can show old dogs new tricks, right? What Perry is doing in this championship is nothing short of amazing. What a job he's been doing, and like I said before, consistency, race after race after race after race. And the patience to also, withstand the pressure of both O'Brien and Acosta, which are, experienced guys on their own right in ovals to win races like this, and now being, like you said, in double-figure margins already in this championship in terms of difference in the points.
I think this could be his most impressive win yet. We'll talk about that in a moment, but it's 3/4 of a second in the end for Gabriel Perry over Abner Acosta. James O'Brien's day was maybe a bit more difficult than it needed to be, but he still finishes on the podium again. Still no victory, though. Luke Christian and Pat Harvey are in the top 5 ahead of Jean-Michel Gagnon, who will lose that 3rd place in the point standings at the end of the day. Unai Llamas will be at 7th at the end. He got past and stayed ahead of, I should say, Jeff Chandler, Robert Bisot Jr. and Stephen Kirby, who rounded out the top 10. Just ahead of the leaders, Jose Medina and Scotty Johnson finished their battle in 11th and 12th. Patrick Cargill and Mark Kaelin continued theirs 1 lap down. Mike Richter and Colton Easterday retired very early on, both in that race. Well, let's bring in Gabriel Perry here and chat to him after that one. Welcome in, Gabriel. Good to have you with us again. I was just saying there that might be, in my opinion, your most impressive win of the 4 yet this season, because you came out right with Abner Acosta. It was effectively a 25-minute dash between the 2 of you through traffic and on pure speed at the end there as well. How do you view this win when stacked up against the 3 others prior to this one?
That was definitely the most fun. The other couple, Abner hasn't been able to be up front just because, well, the road course, he wasn't there because of the hurricane, and then last because of the penalty. And this one we got to race the entire time. Going through traffic like that, battling, it was super fun, and hope we can do it again.
I mean, How much work did you put in this week going into this round? I think you said last week that you didn't even own this circuit. What was the week like between the last two races?
Yeah, definitely. I bought the circuit Monday. Definitely put some laps in. Just trying. That high line probably would have worked, but it really roasts the tires and it's super loose, and you just don't know if you're going to get on that wall and then lose all that time. So I was really just doing different stints just to see what would work. Low line definitely save the most amount of tires, and you can still be fast even trying to save tires. If Abner had made a big run there at the end, I probably would have flipped up to the high line just to see if I could make it stick. But yeah, I definitely put a lot of work in, and happy with the finish.
I would hope so. Congratulations on another win tonight, and thanks for coming to chat to us once again.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Gabriel Perry there, the winner tonight here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Let's bring in Abner Acosta, who finishes second in the end. Welcome in, Abner. Good to have you with us. And I don't want to make you feel any worse about this in case you are already. But it's a very rare occasion I've seen you, come off second best in a straight fight like that between you and somebody else. How are you feeling after that race?
I feel good. Obviously disappointed. I was just trying. I was telling James, I don't think I've done like 10, 15 laps trying not to die. I felt like my right rear was gone, and I was just trying, but it was like, it was really difficult. He did really well, saving his tires, and I just didn't have anything at the end.
To the outside observer, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the fact the setups are fixed this time round isn't really making much of a difference. The rating looks similar, etc. But how much of a difference is it actually making from inside the car?
I honestly, I prefer fixed, and I did do a race in open, and the car did feel a little more stable, but I'd rather have this, everybody has the same set, and you just kind of have to figure it out. And obviously today, Gabriel had it figured out. So.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you all figure it out next week as well at Martinsville. Congratulations on second tonight, Abner, and thanks for coming to chat to us as well.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thanks very much, Abner Acosta there, second place tonight. And then James O'Brien, who finishes in third place. Welcome back, James. Good to have you with us. Another podium. You are the most consistent driver this season, but you still haven't won just yet. How are you feeling after another third tonight?
Tired. That was tough. Just try to keep my head down and run. Thought I had something at the beginning. Didn't, I guess. And then I don't know how I was so slow on pit road. I almost spun coming off a little bit, but I didn't think it was going to cost me that much time. So after that, I was just kind of riding around and turning laps.
I got the feeling, maybe this is not true because I'm only watching after all, and we're not speaking to you in the time, but looked like you were not especially enjoying this circuit, not especially enjoying the way the car was driving round here. Would that be a fair assessment of tonight?
Yeah, no, I really like this track and I like the challenge that it has, but like the setup every so often would just throw you a curveball. You'd be running your normal line, your normal throttle input, and then all of a sudden the car would just snap on you. And I'm sure that happened to Gabriel and Abner too. So I wasn't really happy with that. I haven't really been comfortable with any of the fixed sets this season. They've been okay, but as you know, we all came from open and I really preferred that. Being able to build something around your feel and making something your own, but overall it was all right.
Well, let's hope you can make something work again next week at Martinsville. Congratulations on another top three, and thanks for coming to chat to us as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks very much, James O'Brien, third place. And Patrick Galgo is also there as well. We might as well bring him in as well, just for a quick chat right at the very end. Welcome in, Patrick. Good to have you with us. 13th for you here tonight. You're doing something a little bit different on strategy. Tell us the thinking about tonight's race.
Yeah, I thought the fall-off was a lot more than it actually ended up being, so I kind of screwed myself there and was just kind of riding around hoping for a caution the whole race.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't come, and as you well know, because you told me this, we've now hit a series record for the amount of races in which we haven't had a caution, and I believe about 20 minutes or so at Martinsville under green, and we'd break the time record as well for longest time between cautions, which is something you let me know. So I must thank you for that. But how was tonight generally in terms of the setup, and how was the car driving? Because everyone, or some I should say, have been complaining a little bit about the setup and the way it was driving. Would you also be in the unhappy camp, or were you just out there dealing with it?
The first 2 runs, I was not happy with it. I was trying to do what everybody else was doing and downshifting in the corners, and that ended up burning my tires up. So that very last run, I stayed in 5th the whole time, and it seemed to come in pretty good in that last run, but by then I was already a lap down, so it wasn't really useful at that point.
No. Well, thanks for coming to chat to us either way after the race, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks very much. Patrick Kogler there, finishing down in 13th tonight. Well, a very interesting race once again, Lorenzo. Gabriel Perry winning again, though. That is 4 now in the last 5 weeks. He's on a roll going into these final few rounds.
Yeah, he's going in hot now to Martinsville. I think Martinsville could be one track that we can see maybe a Costa O'Brien back, and maybe a guy like Mark Kalin to truly duke it out against the number 18, because of the the nature of being a half-mile track, and it's a very short track. We know that we can see yellow breeding yellows despite the grid size. But so far, we gotta give commendations for everybody for driving cleanly, and for us breaking the records of green flag run length. So let's go.
Absolutely, the first time ever we have had 4 consecutive races in a row without a caution. Will we go 5? Come find out next week at Martinsville Speedway, live from 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the 3rd of November, with all of the racing there once again. Another hour-long race for us to look forward to. For now, though, from the Homestead Miami Speedway, it's time to say goodbye this evening as Gabriel Perry takes his 4th win of Season 4 in 2024 on a historic night in PRL Cup Series racing, a record for the most consecutive races without a caution. Come join us next week, see if we can break the time record maybe, and have some fun at Martinsville as well. We're off though to California. Laguna Seca is where we'll be at tomorrow here on RaceSpotTV as the LMP3 GT4 Challenge continues for round 6 of their championship. Hope to see you then. For myself, Ian Leary, Lorenzo Bonner and Hugo Luis, it's goodbye for now and see you tomorrow.